everyone, welcome to the Artlife YouTube channel. I'm here today to show you how to create this beautiful vase of flowers using Pointillism as an influence. Now, as I said, this artwork is inspired by the art movement called Pointillism. Now, Pointillism was started in Paris in the mid-1800s, and it was a branch out from Impressionism, which used really wispy lines to create some beautiful artworks that analysed light and colour. Instead of using lines, Pointillism artists only used dots, tiny little dots in their paintings, almost like a pixelated photograph. The artists worked so cleverly with colours to create art that was very beautiful and very time-consuming. Can you imagine how many dots were in this artwork by Seurat? Now check out this artwork by Georges Lemaine. Now look at the close-up. Check out the detail in this artwork and how patient and talented these artists must have been to create the artworks that only used teeny tiny dots. And these artworks are actually quite large, so you can only imagine how long it would have taken them. Today, we're going to use this Pointillism art movement as an influence for our own artwork. However, it won't take as long. We're going to use our finger, and it will only take about 20 to 30 minutes to create something as gorgeous as this one. Now, this lesson might look a little bit tricky, but please don't be intimidated by it. All you need is some acrylic paints and your finger. We're going to be doing finger painting today. You will need a piece of paper. I'm working on an A4 piece of paper. That's to paint on. We're doing our artwork today with acrylic paints. So you can choose whatever colors you wish to use. I'm doing a bouquet of flowers today, so I'm going to use a bit of pink for the flowers, some green for the leaves, and some purple for the vase. I'll also be using yellow for the background. I've also said that you need some white and some black. That's to help to create different tones with these colors to give your artwork a little bit more interest and make it look more realistic. So whatever colors you have at home are fine, but this is what I'll be working with today. Also, because we're going to be finger painting, I suggest that you have some sort of cloth or wipe that you can clean your finger with in between colors. As usual, I will be putting some links down in the description below, so please feel free to check that out. What I've just done is bordered my artwork here with some sticky tape, just to give it a nice clean edge with the painting. Masking tape is definitely ideal with this because it doesn't rip the paper as easily, so please use masking tape if you have it. I didn't have any. Otherwise, I just use sticky tape, but I've just pressed it ever so slightly so that it doesn't rip once it's time to take it off. The first thing we're going to do today is give ourselves a bit of an idea as to where everything's going to go within our page. I'll start with a pencil and I'm going to draw very, very lightly and very simply. So I'm not going to add too much detail within my drawing. It's just an idea where everything's going to go. So I'm going to do a cylinder vase sitting on top of a table, and I'm going to give myself an idea of maybe 5 flowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is where sort of the leaf foliage will go. Obviously, you guys can draw whatever you like and use the techniques that I'm showing you with Pointillism to create an artwork of anything that you desire. I'm going to do flowers today just because. Okay, now that we know where everything's going to go, I am going to show you what colors I'll plan to use. And again, you can adapt it, but for my artwork today, I'm going to use pinks for the flowers. I'm going to use purple for this vase here. I'm going to use green for the leaf, and I'll use some yellow and orange for sort of the background.
Now, the reason I wanted you to have white and black is because we're not just using these colors. If we just use one color, it's going to be a really flat artwork. So we're going to use white and a darker color to add a bit of tone. So we're going to create different versions of this color, make it a bit lighter, make it a bit darker, so that we can add in different colors. I'll show you what I mean. Let's start with one flower. Instead of black today, I've chosen to use a dark blue instead. Now with a brush, what you're going to do is mix a few versions of this magenta color. We want to keep the magenta, but I also want to make it a bit lighter. Different amounts of white to make sort of a medium magenta. Then I'm going to do the same thing and add it to my dark color here, my blue. That's going to create some darker tones. So we're going to use our finger for the points today. If we did all the points with a brush, it would take an extremely long time. I think we would get fairly impatient, and I think our dots might start to get a bit messy. So this is a quicker way to do pointillism because our finger is a lot larger than a little brush, and we're literally just finger painting like this. Starting with my main color right now. I'm actually going to fill the whole flower. We still want to keep it dotty like that. Don't keep going so much that you can't notice those separate dots. And please also don't move the paint around like this. That's what we don't want to do. We want to keep everything spotted and dotty, just like that. Now I have my base color here. I'm now going to add my other tones. So in sort of this top corner here, I'm going to add a few of my medium magentas. I'm going to add a little bit of my really light magentas there. I'm going to do the same thing and add some darker tones down the bottom. There we go. So that's just one flower that I wanted to show you the overall technique. What I always suggest when I'm teaching how to paint is that you should always start with what is the furthest away. So in this example, the furthest thing away would be this background here, whatever this might be, a wall, or whatever's behind my focal point here, my flowers. And today I want that to be yellow. So I'm actually going to stop with the flowers and have a go at filling the space behind with some yellow. Remember, whenever we're adding a color, we want to make a white and a dark version of the color. Cool, so I've got a few colors to work with. Make sure your finger's nice and clean after wiping it, because I'm changing color now, and I'm going to just have some fun adding dots to my background. Adding in the other tone amongst it so the colors kind of play together like that. I'm sort of going up to the line, maybe even a little bit over it. If you want to, you can sort of choose to have your fingerprints a little bit more separate if you like. It's feeling like the background was a little bit boring, so I mixed it with a bit of my pink there to make sort of a peachy color to add in. But the texture is really fantastic, if you can see, because I'm applying the paint quite thickly. There's a great texture happening. Notice I'm starting to add my darker tone down here. Just a little bit of it. If you want to simplify this task, you probably wouldn't add in the extra tones, you just keep the colors flat, and that will still look really wonderful. I'm going to now do the table. I might do that in that peachy color that that I started before. I think that would look really lovely. The way you create that is some white, some yellow, and some pink. For all the art teachers out there, this is a fantastic lesson for teaching your students all about the art element of tone or value. Because notice how I'm using my lighter value on sort of the left-hand corner of my page, and then I'm using my darker tones or darker values on the right. It's giving my artwork a sense of realism, making it more interesting, and it gives your students an introduction into where the light source is coming from and considering how to use tone within art. Now, my background is all done. I'm going to do my vase here. So I believe I was going to use purple for that. I'll just make up my different values of purple now. Right, ready to go. So as normal, in the middle, starting with my color that comes out of the tube, my purple. Spotty spots. Now, because the vase is sort of in front of the table, I want to sort of overlap there. You can see that. All right, on the left-hand side, I'm going to add my lighter purple dots, a bit of white added. And now on the right, I'm adding the darker ones. My background isn't dry yet, but that's okay. The colors are kind of mixing, but they look really lovely, so it's not a big deal. It's meant to be a little bit abstract. There you go. You can see it really doesn't take much time at all to fill a space. Now I'm going to work with my green, my foliage here. This lesson really is so fun and is great for most age groups because it's a way of being messy without really being too messy. It's controlled messiness. Cool. Foliage is done. Now I'm going to continue back onto my flowers because they're the last thing to do. I need to sort of go over this flower here to make it come into the foreground a bit more. Not behind the leaves, it needs to be in front. And with my other 4 flowers here, I'm going to do a very similar thing. Start with my main colour. Spot, 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 spot. Add some light tones. Spot, spot, spot. Keep it in that kind of circle shape if you can. Add some darker tones. Probably see why now it's very hard for art teachers to have beautiful clothing and perfectly manicured nails because life in the art room is quite messy, but it's so fun. There. I think I'm done. That was really fun, quite therapeutic. So even adults have a go at this. It is fun. It's really great. Just to add a bit more realism to my artwork, I might add a bit of a shadow here with my darker magenta. Shadow of my vase, spot, spot, spot. There we go. Ha!
So it's as simple as that. I hope you really enjoyed the art lesson today, learned a little bit about pointillism and how to go at creating your own beautiful acrylic painting artwork. Please make sure that you subscribe to the Artlife YouTube channel, as well as comment and like below. See you later.